Well, so I went ahead and asked some of my followers on Instagram. Once again, it's been a little bit since we did this format. I asked them a very particular question. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of blue fragrances. That's kind of my jam. It's kind of what I'm known for. So I went ahead and asked, what do you guys think? What's the best blue fragrance ever? And got a lot of responses, some overwhelming. One clear king, apparently, of blue fragrances. And we're going to start the video with, based on this questionnaire and the result, it's king of the blue fragrance on my channel for sure, based on the answers I got to the question. So like I said, we took to Instagram, we got some answers. I took the best 5, the most mentioned 5, cut it shorter than 10. We got it down to just 5. The best blue fragrances ever. We're going to talk about them, so stay tuned. So 4 out of these 5 were no surprise for me. Some of these you're probably expecting, if not all but maybe one of them. And we got a lot of Bleu de Chanel votes. We got Bleu de Chanel EDP votes. We got Bleu de Chanel EDT. We got Bleu de Chanel Parfum. But there was a lot that just said Bleu de Chanel. So I actually tabulated the ones that just said Bleu de Chanel as a point for all 3 concentrations. And the tiebreaker for what was going to be the #1 concentration came down to all of those tallied up plus the individual BDC EDP, BDC Parfum, so on and so forth. And Bleu de Chanel Parfum, to my liking and kind of to my surprise, was the overwhelming king of this questionnaire. Based on the responses I got, and I got a lot of freaking responses, over 100 responses to this question, Bleu de Chanel was far and wide. If I was to just ask what's the one and only make one for the video, Bleu de Chanel Parfum is it. I honestly thought the EDP was going to get the most mentions. I was prepared to not have the bottle and just do a graphic on screen to talk about it, but I actually have this one. It's the only Bleu de Chanel I have. What's different about this one is it's so warm and woody and dense. It's very rich, it's smooth. It's kind of the most polished of the Bleu de Chanels. This is lovely. It still has a little citrus up top. This lemon zest note's got this zesty, bright lemon that starts to settle into some warm woods pretty quickly. There's cashmere wood here, there's Isui Super, there's sandalwood, there's a variety of woods. The smokiness is gone from the EDP and the EDT. The citrus is toned back greatly, and it's a much more warm wood fragrance than it is a citrus aromatic in the Parfum concentration. Sticks to my skin all day like glue, but not a loud fragrance. This is much more subdued, close to the skin, with a nice little lingering trail because it's a Parfum concentration. It's a high oil concentration, so the aroma in the air is a little bit denser than the lighter concentration, so it will linger a little bit more. While it doesn't really push off the skin, when you walk by, it has a nice beautiful trail. Super versatile, great office fragrance, great blue fragrance for a suit and tie. Probably the best blue fragrance for a suit and tie, honestly. The most expensive of the concentrations, $150 retail in the US for a 100 ml like this. Chanel keeps it close to the vest with stuff not going to the discounter, so more times than not, if you want a legitimate bottle of Bleu de Chanel Parfum, you're going to pay for it. But in my opinion, you're definitely going to get your money's worth. I rigorously sampled the 3 before I decided to go with just the Parfum, because I was never really a big fan of the EDT. I like the EDP, but I just always head and shoulders above the other 2 loved the Parfum. So I'm very happy that this one actually is the one that got the most mentions, because I couldn't agree more. One of the best blue fragrances ever is definitely Bleu de Chanel Parfum. At the recording of this video, the next fragrance was actually what I wore yesterday. And another one I was not surprised to see here. This got, we kind of went in descending order. This got the second most amount of mentions. It actually was the very first answer to the question. Was this fragrance? Not surprised. Mega mass appealing, compliment magnet. This stuff performs. It's super versatile. It's Versace Dylan Blue. This is one of the best designer fragrances out there. Not just a blue fragrance. It's aquatic, it's dense, it's got some citrus, it's smoky, it's full of ambroxan, and it's got a little bit of woodiness in the background. It's a lovely fragrance, it really is. This stuff will stick to your skin. You'll go anosmic to this one. There's so much synthetics in here. It's easy to get some olfactory fatigue and go nose blind and think that it's weakened up, or I got a bad batch, or this is a weak bottle. Oh, they reformulated it. No, no, no. That's just the characteristic of this fragrance. It happens to a lot of people. It happens to me, where 3, 4, 5 hours into it, I'll think it's gotten very, very weak. You walk by somebody and like, ooh, you smell nice. And it's a few feet away. And it's been a few hours, so it kind of surprises you. I've had this experience happen multiple times. You'll be shocked that they can smell you because you thought it had faded away and you need to refresh, when actually you're still projecting pretty good. This stuff really gets out in the air. This is bordering a beast type of performer. You don't need a lot of sprays of it. It does have a long trail. It does project pretty heavy, and it does last above average. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a 12-hour fragrance. I'm sure some people get that. I get more in that 8-hour range, which I'm good with. That's more than enough, especially for a designer fragrance that you can get in the $50 range for a 100 milliliter bottle from discounters. Not surprised, completely agree. Definitely one of the best blue fragrances ever. It's bang for your buck. And look, admittedly, I didn't like this one at first. It had to grow on me, and once it grew on me, it took a hold of me. I love this fragrance. It's one of the best ever, for sure. We're talking about Versace Dylan Bleu. I anticipated this one coming up. I didn't think it would come up in third, but I knew it would, you know, be one of the most mentioned for sure. Actually, I thought this one would come behind the number 4 fragrance in this video. We're talking about St Laurent Why EDP. So no surprise here, guys. There's a lot of people that love this fragrance. More so than the other two in my experience, honestly, that we've talked about so far with Dylan Bleu and Bleu de Chanel Parfum. I kind of assumed this would have been running for the most voted for, most mentioned for this particular question. And I mean, it was, but not like I thought it would be. I thought it would be fighting for the most mentioned, you know. But it did get its fair share. Hence the reason it took third of the 5. Because really, with all the answers on down to just anything that had more than one mention, I could have made a 10, a top 10 for sure. But I really wanted to keep it tight to the absolute 5 most popular of the question. And Why EDP? No surprise here. It's no slouch. It's a beast. This is one that honestly is the most powerful fragrance in this video. This one, in my experience, has pulled the most compliments for me outside of Dylan Bleu. Okay, so this and Dylan Bleu would be the two, in my experience, if you're looking for one that pulls a lot of compliments. Because I know that's important to a lot of people. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. A number 1 for me is always Scent, which I think this smells incredible. Just not the best choice in summer, in my opinion. I think the EDT and the Eau Fraiche are light years better than this in the hot weather. But in the spring, the fall, the winter, just everyday use, it's really hard to beat. It's got this green apple, sage, ambergris type of smell. It's a little bit aquatic and salty. It's got that crispness of the green apple. It definitely smells a little bit on the synthetic side, a little bit sweeter than the other fragrances in the line as well, minus Why Live, which kind of has more of a sweet aquatic vibe than this, but it's a beautiful fragrance. Like I said, no surprises here that this made it. I completely agree. It's definitely one of the best blue fragrances ever. If for some reason or another you have yet to get your nose on this, you really should. You're doing yourself a disservice. Definitely check out Why EDP. Next, I kind of figured this would have beat out Why EDP. This is the fragrance I was talking about. While most of the concentrations, except for the newest one, got mentioned. The Parfum got mentioned just twice. The EDP got mentioned a lot. And this was kind of the same situation as Bleu de Chanel, where every time they said Sauvage, I counted it for all the concentrations. And they would have to separate it. The votes that got Sauvage EDT, EDP, Parfum were going to be the deciding factor. And Sauvage Eau de Toilette, the original, no surprise here. This is most people's Sauvage of choice. It's the freshest. It's the most easygoing. It's a great performer. This is an old 2015 bottle. This is back when it was a monster. the original batches. This stuff's crazy strong. And crazy versatile. Look, this stuff, it's polarizing for some. Those that are deep into the community, big time enthusiasts, have large collections, kind of turn their nose up at this one. Not everybody with a large collection turns their nose up to this one. But those that prefer the finer fragrances, the more high-end luxury stuff, which we in the enthusiasts in the community consider niche, but we are a niche in the community. Niche isn't an actual fragrance category, even though we've kind of created one. Strange enough. But Sauvage EDT, like I said, it's polarizing. The average person loves this stuff. There's people I go to the gym with that have told me this is their favorite fragrance. And I get it. It works for everything. It smells great. If you don't mind synthetic, for being synthetic, it's a quality synthetic fragrance, if that makes any sense at all. Because yes, it's sharp, it's metallic, it smells like shower gel, it's got this citrus and a little bit of this peppery pop of a spice smell, but it just smells great to everyone out in the air. It really does. To the average person you pass by, they're going to think you smell good. Is all of them going to want to tell you smell good? Not necessarily. I can't stop smelling. It's just so good. It's pretty unlikely you're going to get a compliment by everybody you walk by every time you wear it, but the probability goes up with fragrances like Sauvage. Same can be said for the Eau de Parfum concentration, and in my experience, the Parfum concentration as well. Which, until Elixir came along, the Parfum was my favorite. Surprisingly, not one mention of Sauvage Elixir. We had mentions of the EDT, the EDP, and the Parfum. And a lot of mentions of just Sauvage. Sauvage EDT won out, It's one of the most versatile fragrances ever created. Modern day superstar. One of the highest selling men's fragrances modern day as well in the last 10 years. Well, hasn't been 10 years yet. It's been about 7 or 8 years since this came out, but it's made a huge impact. This is a game-changing type of fragrance. It absolutely deserves to be in a video topic like this because it absolutely is one of the best blue fragrances ever. Say what you want, say what you will. There's no denying this stuff has made an impact. One of the best blues ever, Sauvage EDT. Last, this is the one that surprised me. That it beat out fragrances like Versace Man Eau Fresh, Versace Pour Homme, other Y fragrances. It beat out Parfums de Marly Sedley. It beat out Percival. There's a bunch of fragrances that this $15 fragrance beat out. Invictus Aqua got several mentions. Heartbreaking that it beat this beat out my beloved Invictus Aqua, but it is what it is. The people have spoken, and one of the best blue fragrances ever apparently is Nautical Voyage. I can't really argue with it. I get it, especially when it comes to cheap fragrances. This was one of the last time I asked Instagram about cheap fragrances, this made the video. It got mentioned. People love this stuff. People hate this stuff. It's kind of like the Sauvage effect for Voyage as well. Some people deem it too feminine. I've heard that before because of the light white floral muskiness. I've heard it smells too cheap and synthetic. I've heard it lasts 30 minutes. I've heard it all about this fragrance. I've also heard the positive side of it. Oh, I can't believe how long this lasts on my skin. Oh, I get compliments all the time when I wear it. This is, of all the fragrances I have, this is the one I reach for the most. I love this stuff. I've heard both sides of the coin when it comes to this. Super polarizing, crisp green apple aquatic, touch of white floral and musk like I was saying. For being such a cheap Nautica fragrance, because every time you hear Nautica fragrances, anybody that's familiar with the fragrance world, they're cheap. You can get them really cheap. They smell cheap. Good cheap, as strange as that is to say. Those of you that have them, you understand where I'm coming from. In a pinch, a Nautica fragrance will do the trick. And this is the most popular one ever. Because honestly, this is the best Nautica fragrance ever. And I have a plethora of offerings in different lines from Nautica. And none of them can really hold a candle to Voyage. Not even any of the Voyage flankers. I have pretty much every Voyage flanker. I have Voyage Heritage, Sport, I have Midnight Voyage, I feel like I'm forgetting some. I don't feel like digging down there in the Nautica section, but point being, I digress. Nautical Voyage just works at any given time, especially if you live in a warmer climate. Let's say you're in the Gulf Coast region here in the United States. It's hot most of the year. Fragrances like this, especially for under 20 bucks, they do great. Everyday type of stuff. You can wear freshies year round. Not that you can't in any other climate, it's just better suited in these warm weather, high humidity climates like the Gulf Coast region. So surprising that it managed to crack the top 5, sure, but not surprised that it got mentioned a lot as an answer to my question, what's the best blue fragrance ever? It deserves to at least get mentioned, if nothing else, honorable mention. Did it deserve the top 5? My vote, no, but it wasn't my vote. It was up to everybody on Instagram. So according to Instagram, one of the best blue fragrances ever is Nautical Voyage. Well, relatively short and sweet because we're only talking about 5 today. Thank you to everybody that answered the question on Instagram to help provide some content for this video. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, 4 of the 5 did not surprise me at all. The one surprise about Bleu de Chanel was I really thought the EDP would win out. Pleasantly surprised that the Parfum was the one, and the overwhelming number 1 was Bleu de Chanel Parfum. That actually made me quite happy because it's such a good fragrance. Nautical Voyage was definitely a surprise though. But again, thank you everybody that answered. Until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. What's your favorite blue fragrance ever? There's a bunch that got mentioned that didn't get mentioned enough to crack this top 5. So I'm very curious what some of you think. There's a lot of really good blue fragrances out there. I have a lot of really good blue fragrances. So trust me, you're on the right channel if you're into blue fragrances. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of the 5 that, according to Instagram, are the best blue fragrances of all time, you give them a spray now, you might end up thanking me and my Instagram followers later. Have a good one, guys.